What's up, everybody? Welcome to another long form video. Today, we're going to be watching Steven Crowder getting wrecked for 34 minutes straight. Let's do this, shall we?
That socialism, the ism that we both agreed upon, the collective means, seizing of distribution, production, is immoral.
I mean, the argument is absurd because
The argument is absolutely absurd, and the means of production should be owned by the people. That's literally communism, which is what MAGA doesn't get. The people should own the rights, not the government, not CEOs. It should, all of that wealth that comes into that company, since there's people that are actually working there, making this profit for the company, they should get a kickback for being good workers. But a lot of the time, you don't see that here in America. You see that in places like Europe, China, Japan. Japan really takes care of their workers. Speaking of which, when Japan has somebody working there, they've been there, let's say 25, 30 years, and they're, upper 50s, lower to mid 60s, they actually just let them, do whatever they want at a certain point. They have a lot more freedoms than you think they do. We're like 35th in freedom. Japan's like 17th or 18th, something like that. Yeah, it's actually kind of amazing once you actually look these things up, like MAGA never does.
if you say that it's immoral, then you also have to say that government funding of police is immoral, government funding of the military is immoral. Anything the government does is immoral, and that's ridiculous, because you have to have some state that's going to socialize certain things. And so the question is not, do we have socialization? It's how much.
Sure. I would disagree with that. Now, would you know where I disagree with that? Guess what I'm going to say.
I assume you're going to try to argue that government funding of the military and police is not socialism.
Why would I say that?
Well, because if you don't argue that, then you're going to have to give some ground on socialism.
No, absolutely. I think you're right. If I have to concede that police force, as he's saying, police force, military, roads is socialism, the same as healthcare, education, and I'm assuming that's why you're referring to Denmark and Sweden. They're not socialist economies, but they have more of a...
Denmark is absolutely a socialist economy, and it actually works a lot better than a capitalist society. Their economy is pretty great. They're a smaller country because they have a lot less people. We have nearly 400 million people here. But we can't cover health insurance and shit like that, but we can cover, a war of choice.
Social safety net.
Beats
That's kind
me.
of what you're talking about, right?
Yeah, they're social democracies.
They're market economies with higher emphasis on a social safety net. That's how they describe
That's
it.
what a social democracy is.
So okay, we agree on the term. Let's go with social democracy. I just want to make sure we don't get confused like democratic socialism as though that changes anything. But we just talked about this, conceding that ground. I don't believe that the military and the police force would be the same as socialized healthcare school.
Why not?
Sorry, because we only have one microphone. We had to do a late setup. I appreciate you working with me.
Well, I mean...
Why not? Why not was your question.
Our definition was that...
So why not? Okay, so I want to make sure you don't... why not? Because there's a difference between a public good and a commodity. Can you explain to me the difference between public goods and a commodity?
Well, in economics, a public good is a good that is, I believe, non-excludable and non-rivalrous. So...
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that would include things like the police, the military. You'd be hard-pressed to...
Actually, no, it's more akin to food, healthcare, public education, so on and so forth. Fixing roads and shit like that, which is why we have that tax system for that purpose. I hear a lot of people complaining we shouldn't have to pay higher taxes on our properties and this and that and dividends that we get from our stocks. Yes, you should. Yes, you should pay taxes on shit like that, because that's what drives an economy. Some taxes I don't agree with, like having to pay multiple taxes on the same shit after you've already been taxed out of your check. Like food. Food should not be taxable whatsoever. Food is a human right. We should not have taxes on that. There's nothing on the taxes that go back to the agriculture field. There's like 10% of the taxes that go back to it. Not all of it. The rest goes into the coffers and gets spread through, you know, Social Security, food stamps, shit like that. So that's fine with me. It's the taxation on cars. Every time you go and redo your registration and insurance, you got to pay fees and taxes, and you got to do that every 2 years? And depending on where you're at, it's like every 6 months. At least that's what I've heard. I'm not exactly sure. I haven't really looked that much into it because I'm not worried about a car right now. But yeah, there's a lot of glaring issues with Steven Crowder. One, he's an abusive person. Two, he's misogynistic. Three, he is racist. There's plenty of things that show to his racism. And there's going to be plenty of people that come out in defense of him because they're also racist because they're that fucking smooth-brained.
Even find hardcore libertarians to say that we don't need those. So there's a big difference. There's a fundamental difference between that and something like healthcare or school. Or it goes to free internet, as you know, Sven Computer talked about in Germany now. High-speed internet is a right. The second you declare any commodity to be a right or to be a fundamental role of government, that means the government can now remove that right depending on who's in power, and that's the problem. That's why I think it's fundamentally immoral for someone to take something they haven't earned, regardless of who's in power. I think it's immoral for Donald Trump's administration to take it from you, just as you probably...
The whole, it's unearned, much like his arrogance and lack of information. His confidence is well unearned in anything he says, just like Charlie Kirk was. Very good at talking. Wasn't good at debate. He was good at dancing around shit and trying to catch somebody in some kind of a loop so he could tear them apart with some other fucking made up bullshit that they always have. It's just that it's not how you debate. By browbeating somebody with made up shit. And then you guys play the whole rubber glue thing like, no, it's your side. Right now, who's trying to rig elections? It's not the Democrats. Every time somebody's been arrested for some kind of election shit, it was a Republican person involved. Oh, what's the names? Go look them up. If you're not going to look them up, don't even bother asking me. Some of you will, because a lot of you won't get this far without having something to say about what I've already said thus far.
I think it's immoral for Barack Obama's administration to take it from me. So the difference there would be, first, public good versus commodity. And I think that's an important distinction for everyone here to make, because it's a common argument we hear from the left if you support any role of government at all.
So, a commodity is gold, jewelry, gas. That's a commodity. That's something that the nation needs, and that's something that should be taxed to make the economy work. Okay? And the more... let's go more into the economy before I play this some more. The economy only works when there's money flowing. The less money you have in your economy, the less your economy works out for you in the end. And there's a bunch of people that's gonna fucking be contradictory in the comments on this video. I can already see it. That states that the economy is better than it's ever been, which is just another fucking rehashed bullshit rhetoric that Trump's been using since he's got back into office. Like, day one, he was already saying the economy's doing much better. How? How? You've been there 24 hours. And at this point, we're a year and a half into his current run as president. And everything has gone up. Not the economy, but the prices. Yeah, prices everywhere. Some have dropped. Yeah, had nothing to do with Trump. Some companies were like, okay, yeah, this is economic dire consequences, so we're going to lower some prices. Yeah, consumer goods has been made a commodity. we are taxed out the ass for certain things that aren't necessary, like a military. You could get rid of 1/3 of the military's budget and they would still have enough to do what they're doing now. And he just keeps asking for more money. Do you not get... In the 2 terms he's been president thus far, it's been almost $12 trillion increased to the national debt. That's 85% of Obama and Biden's economy combined when it comes to adding to debt. 85%. That's bigger than you might understand. But I'm sure you don't.
That means that this is socialism. But it's not according to the definition that we agreed upon. Something else, I think it also matters the constitutional parameters of government, right? What the Constitution defines what our government is and what fundamental human rights are.
Well, I want to get back to your earlier point where you said that because...
This is what I think fundamental human rights should be. A house over your head, water to drink and keep you hydrated, and food to keep you going. And enough money to pay for your car, your phone, bills, rent. Enough to live off of. Enough maybe after you pay for bills and your rent, you can go to a fucking water park. Or go see a movie. Like, these are things that keep people from fucking snapping. Do you understand that? Pull yourself up by your bootstraps. That's bullshit. Along with trickle-down economics. It's more like trickle up. They just keep vacuuming and vacuuming up all this money, putting it in Swiss and bank accounts and shit. Cayman Islands. We got motherfuckers talking about, oh, we discovered an island. No, you didn't. People were already living there. Now you're going to make a resort, and they're telling you fuck off. By the way, if you haven't guessed by that point, it's Ivanka and Kushner that I'm talking about. Oh, the fraud and waste. Yeah, we'll get to that.
The military is a public good, therefore it's not socialism. In your definition, you never made any distinction between different types of goods. You just said a socialist economy is one that takes wealth from some people and gives it to others, and that's what financing a public good is.
Well, no, it's not. You talked about redistributing. The redistribution, the common means of production or distribution. So if we want to frame that in, I certainly wouldn't say that that's the police. Oh, someone's yelling. Hopefully we're good. So I would not agree with it. The military or police would be socialist. But to move on here, again, let's go to the Danes, Denmark, Norway, Sweden. You pointed to them as successful examples of socialism, because that would be different from your definition of socialism. So now I moved on from the idea that taking something you haven't earned to give to someone else is morally reprehensible, regardless of the reason, because socialism can only be enacted through the threat of violence. That's...
Did he really say... Let me go back to that.
Really what taxes are, socialism. Because that would be different from your definition of socialism. So now I moved on from the idea that taking something you haven't earned to give to someone else is morally reprehensible, regardless of the reason, because socialism can only be enacted through the threat of violence.
No, that is... Oh my God. The way he's so confident in what he just said, that it can only be done through a threat of active violence. Or through an action of violence. Socialism? So taking stuff from the wealthy and dispersing it to people that need it is violent? Then all taxes are violent. Because the taxes are going straight to the 1%. You know why? Because of Trump's stupid ass big bullshit beautiful bill. More money's going to the top because now the people in the lower 50% have to work harder to make the same amount of money they were making 2 years ago. They have to work longer hours to make the same amount of money. Do you see how that's not okay? Probably not.
Really what taxes are. At the end of the day, we all agree on that.
Violence is part of life.
Okay, well, I don't believe there should be a part of life for someone with guns to come in if I don't pay for Timmy's health care. I just disagree with that.
If you don't pay taxes, you're going to have other forms of violence that arise spontaneously. This sort of autistic libertarian idea of, oh, you can have a non-aggression.
Stop it! He's been watching Matt Damon videos. Continue.
This idea of a non-aggression principle is just fantasy. Okay, you have to have.
Describe to me. You just said autistic, and it was very civil until you brought that up. Define autistic here.
Well, it tends to be characterized by an
Yeah, that's Crowder is a fucking man-child. Look at this shit. He's doing something to make him look like a fool, but in actuality, it's making Crowder look like a fool himself. This is childlike behavior. This is supposed to be a debate, and he's acting like this. Getting all up in his face? For what purpose? Back up 2 feet. There's no reason for you to be 6 inches from my face. That's punching radius. I hope you know that. You don't need to be in my face.
overemphasis on logic and philosophy as opposed to reality. You know, it's very easy to argue from syllogisms and axioms and all that.
So hold on a second, I want to make sure, before you move, because what you do is you speak in these paragraphs. We need to determine what these definitions are. I think we both agree that's fair.
Fine.
Okay. So you just said that autism...
When you're in a debate and you're trying to minimize the person's details as a paragraph, you're not actually looking for a debate, you're waiting to respond. But that's the case with most MAGA people.
If I'm not mistaken, and I would love for you to bring this up, is rooted more in philosophy and theology than fact, than logic or reason?
Logic, syllogisms, that sort of thing.
That's what you believe is the definition of autism?
Well, because it leads you down these intellectual...
No, do you believe that's the definition of autism?
No,
no, you
I'm
don't.
using it in an informal way.
Okay, so you're using it in an insulting way.
You could say that.
Okay.
A little bit of banter.
A little bit of, yeah. Well, we don't call that friendly banter generally. Okay. We call that being a dick. So I want to go back to hopefully keeping it civil. You know, I wouldn't call you retarded. You know, I wouldn't say that you have.
Being autistic and being retarded are not the same thing. But then again, you know, trying to call somebody out for their intelligence.
I had a fight with the Clippers and the Clippers won. I wouldn't do this. Let's keep this very civil. So let's go back to Sweden, Denmark, Norway as examples. You pointed to them as successful examples of socialism. It was interesting to me that
because it is.
I know you'd want to point to the USSR or Venezuela or these places, but really we should look to these Scandinavian countries.
Sure.
Why?
Venezuela and Russia. Venezuela is semi-democratic. Russia is actually fascist. Just like North Korea, Hungary had a dictator who's now, you know, no longer that dictator because everybody was like, we want him fucking gone, which is what's going to happen here in November. They want Trump gone. More old school Republicans outweigh the MAGA group because the MAGA group is only 17% of Republicans. 17 or 13%. It's been a minute since I looked up the number. Yeah, and the voting population is only close to 2/3 of America. The rest are children and elderly. And the mentally dysfunctional. Yeah. So, you guys aren't the majority. Just because in the House and the Senate, Republicans hold the majority. You guys are actually a minority. In the political sense. Not a race sense. But yeah.
Because they provide a good quality of life for their citizens. You don't have this gigantic gap between the working class and the upper class. There is a commitment of the state to the well-being of their citizens, and I think that's a wonderful thing.
Okay. So first off, I agree with you that first off, the overall well-being of citizens is a tremendous thing. I think we would all want. I think everyone here wants a better society, wants a better America. I don't think that you want a worse America. No. I hope that you don't believe I want a worse America.
It's worse under Trump.
Implied I might be autistic. So maybe I don't know what's best for America. autistic and such.
They don't know.
Speech off this campus. But
Okay, hold on. They don't know what's best for America, yet they're not here in America trying to do any of that. It's people here in America trying to do that. Actual Americans, people who are actually patriotic, want everybody to be safe and taken care of. We need paid time off. We need medical leave. We need paternal and fraternal leave. We need all of that for companies to realize we need companies to realize we're not just a number on a piece of fucking paper making you money. We are actual human beings that need rest, relaxation, and resets. We are not fucking robots, which is why they want to get rid of people and replace them with AI and robotics. Then what stimulates the economy? You have to think of that. What stimulates the economy? If they're going to wipe out a bunch of these data analytics, coding, whatnot, medical, I don't want AI in my medical. No, AI makes more mistakes than humans do. Because humans made this shit. Because we make a lot of mistakes. I don't know how you guys don't have any critical thinking about this whatsoever. If you get rid of all of these jobs, then you take away all of these humans doing the jobs, the economy is going to slip. Why? Because money's not flowing like it was, because people aren't working, because those jobs got replaced with AI and robotics. Which is why a lot of people aren't in the car manufacturing job anymore. It used to be a couple of million people. Now it's just under 500,000 people that work in the car industry, the manufacturing industry for cars. I'll have to look up the number again. I'll put it down in the description. But yeah, it just goes to show how just a little bit of information can pop that bubble of their delusions. And then I'm the one that gets called triggered for calling out their hypocrisy. That's the funny part to me.
Your reasoning there, and correct me if I'm wrong, you said there isn't the same kind of gap, the inequality gap. That was I want to get, because he's speaking, like I said, in longer paragraphs. It seems the fundamental premise there was Denmark, Norway, Sweden, they're examples because they're successful. They have a higher quality of living, and the main justification used was there's less of an inequality gap. Am I correct? I don't want to misrepresent you.
Yes.
Okay. So your problem is with inequality.
It's one of several problems. I think another problem when
But that was your first issue. Let's go point by point. Okay.
Fair enough.
Inequality. What's immoral about inequality?
Because there's this idea that you're going to have this society and everybody has social obligations. But if you have a situation where people are being crushed, where people's wages are going down, you lose the social cohesiveness of that society. You lose the commitment that everybody has to advancing that society.
Hold on a second. I want to...
Not only that, it goes back to me saying the economy slips. And there's economists, not just here in America, but all over the world, stating that we're heading for an economic collapse. And it's going to happen soon. By like 2029. And an economic collapse is shitty for any country. Look at what happened in Greece when their GDP went... Because it's not about the stock market. It's not about any of that. It's about the money flow in the country. That's the true economy. When you have no money flowing because of less jobs, less wages being grown, at some point you have to agree with me on this, that it is immoral for these people to have 300, 400, 500, 1,000% increase in their pay, and then we, the people who are the lowly little peons in the fucking system, gets pissed on and taken more from. Yet, it's still pull yourself up by your bootstraps. How about the the farmers that actually voted for Trump and are now asking for a fucking handout. Isn't that socialism? I thought socialism was bad. Yeah, you're all fucking hypocrites, and you know it.
Now you're getting into potential results, the hypothetical, almost autistic
It's
one
real.
could say.
It's real.
But I ask again, what is immoral about inequality?
What's immoral is that it ruins the society. That's what's immoral about it.
How does inequality ruin society? Because it sounds to me, if I'm not mistaken, what you just went down and described was a problem with poverty.
Yeah.
So your problem is with poverty then?
Poverty is a consequence of inequality.
That's not
Economic equality breeds poverty. Many analysts throughout history would tell you the same thing. It ruins people's lives. Inequality. And then you guys constantly bitch about DEI, and when all of these DEI jobs got gotten rid of, you know who got affected most of all? White women. Black women are at an all-time high for hiring right now. They hold the most jobs out of any demographic, male or female. The next is Hispanics, and the next down is Asian and non-Asian Pacific Islander. Did I say that right? Islander, not Highlander, sorry. And then it's white people. White people have the least amount of jobs right now. Yeah. And going back to the farmers, they voted for him and they got fucked. China pulled out of buying all of our soybeans. Then they bought like $30 million worth, which is nothing. $30 million. It used to be, what was it, 10 billion a year or some crap like that? And then Trump comes back into office, starts talking all his shit, and China's like, okay, bye. He's the one ruining the economy. Almost single-handedly. But y'all don't want to talk about that. You'll just say it's not true, not prove me wrong, hurl some personal attacks and superlatives, and then say I didn't say anything correct. That's all you guys do.
It's purely true. But, and as a matter of fact, I would argue that there are two very different things. Because I would say, and I think we'd probably have to agree, that the free enterprise, westernized capitalist system has pulled more people out of poverty than any system in existence.
Nope.
And if you look at countries, you said don't point to countries like Venezuela or true socialist economies, there's tremendous equality, but everyone is equally poor. So the problem you have is with poverty, it sounds like, and I think we both have a problem with that we want to solve ways to eliminate as much poverty as possible.
It's not just poverty. Inequality matters too, because if you have inequality of wealth, you're going to have an upper class that controls the political system and secures its own interests instead of the interests of the people.
Okay.
So yes, inequality matters as well.
You would agree in stricter immigration?
I would. And you're not going to get it if you shill for the capitalists.
Well,
they're against you.
Define shill.
Well, if you...
See, he's asking questions of these little details instead of handing in his rebuttal. He's focusing on letting the guy talk so he can say some kind of immature thing against it. This is the thing Steven Crowder does. Which is why his wife left him, by the way. One of the reasons. Other than him being an alcoholic, abusive piece of shit. You can't trust anything these people say. At all. You can't trust it at all. Because it's not based in fact, it's based in mire, hatred, and bias. And of course, misinformation from the Trump administration. And all the fucking MAGA cucks who are trying to vie to President Trump so they can get a seat in Congress. And further wreck this country to line their pockets. Speaking of fraud.
I know you like to sound really intelligent by speaking in paragraphs. One thing, you've misused words several times. And if someone were to call you on it and be as rude as you are, you might look what you might refer to as stupid.
Okay.
So saying autistic or shill, define, because it's a very specific
Like, why
definition.
does he
You can't
need
even
to
just
be
say
so
shill.
close?
And really quickly to get ready to give the microphone to someone else. If you don't stop doing this, because this isn't the goal of this. What's a shill?
Well, I think you're getting upset because you're losing the debate. But
That's fair. That's fair.
MAGA, can you explain what a shill is? You worship one.
What's a shill? No. The person losing the debate is the one who refers to the other person as autistic.
The oil company's got a a tax cut after they donated to Trump's campaign to become president. That's bribery. Same with AI tech bros, data centers. They all pandered to Trump, gave him money because he likes money. That's the only thing he likes. He doesn't even like his children or his wife, even though he's doing exactly what the right does, is performative arts. It's not actual politics. Because, okay, I'm not a big fan of a lot of the Democrats either, so don't get it fucking twisted. Whoever's in the Epstein files, along with Trump, needs to be apprehended. Don't care if they're red or blue. See, that's the difference. I can call out my side for their problems, but there's so many different problems with the Republicans right now in Congress that it pales in comparison. The shit that you hate about the Democrats. All of that pales in comparison to Trump and his administration. There's no comparison whatsoever. And I'm going to keep repeating it. And I don't care if no one likes it. That's just the long and short of it. Trump has you guys by the medulla oblongata. And he's squeezing you for everything you're fucking worth. Trump phone, Trump steak. Trump Tower is no longer his. He owes over $400 million to the IRS. He owes $100 million plus to pretty much every lawyer that's ever said yes and then no longer wanted to work with him. He still hasn't paid any of those. He's now had to pay E. Jean Carroll because SCOTUS upheld the ruling that he SA'd E. Jean Carroll with digital manipulation, meaning he penetrated her with his fingers. He's going to have to pay the $83 million because it's got, the first one got upheld. This next one will be upheld. And in November, when he's kicked the fuck out, and January 6th comes back around, all of those laws that he broke while president will now open up charges. Yeah. And anybody who enabled him and just kept the lie going, they're going down with him. And I don't care what anybody says. He only didn't go to prison because he won the presidency. See how easy it was to say that he won? I can agree that he won. And I can agree that he won fairly. Just like Biden in 2020. Biden won fairly. And let's get another thing straight here. He didn't win by a landslide. Biden did. Trump only won by 1.48%. We can say 1.5%. That's not a fucking landslide, guys. Biden won by 7 million votes. Provenly. Where's the proof? Go find it. I'm not the repository of information. I find things, and I report on them. After I do due diligence and corroborate the information that I found. The only way you guys can corroborate anything is because you believe the headline you read. Plain and fucking simple.
And a shill. That's generally a good sign. So what's a shill?
I don't have the exact definition, but essentially someone who's, pushing or advancing somebody else's interests, I suppose.
For profit.
Fair enough. But a lot of these conservatives who...
Well, you're not talking to these conservatives, you're talking to me. This isn't a performance hall here. That's why we're doing this out here. This is a conversation. You're talking.
It's not
I'm against
all, but you're
illegal immigration. Okay, you can look me in the eyes. I'm not mad at you. I just think it's rude. It's okay. Don't worry. I mean, we're okay. I'm used to people being rude to me. I'm sure you're probably aware of this to one degree or another. Let's move back to, again, Norway, Sweden. We didn't really kind of go to that. You talked about them as successful examples. Now, we refer to, and I would agree. I would agree that if we're going to take a model and say they've created a social safety net that functions better than many other countries, for example, socialized healthcare and education.
Yeah, what's wrong with that?
Good. Well, like, so you would support school vouchers.
I think, in general, vouchers, I think, have a problem because they do lead to the incentivization of private schools. But
Okay.
any way that the
Well,
government
that's,
can...
I just said,
So he mentioned the thing about school vouchers. You know who ends up getting them more than anybody else? Families who are well off. They have the money to put their kid through school, but they're taking public funds, which again would be a type of socialism, to send their kids to these private schools. It was just under 80% of kids that are admitted from the ages of 12 to 17 is higher than poor kids. What was the age demographic? It was probably close to the same thing. 10 to 17 is only 20% of them because they got the school voucher. Yeah, so you want to talk about fraud? That should be a fraudulent thing. If you have a certain amount of money, pay for your kid. If you have enough money for rent, utilities, and barely enough for food, and can't send your kid to a private school because you can't afford it, you should have the right to that voucher. It's meant for kids and families who are below a certain financial deficit. If they reach a certain surplus, then they're not eligible. But then these schools overlook that 80% of the time, damn near. And let's talk about, we'll get there, I'm sure.
that's what Sweden does.
Yeah.
So you would support more of a flat tax and increasing taxes on the middle class and the lower class.
I want a progressive tax.
Okay, well, that's not what happens in Denmark.
They should change it.
Okay, so you would want a lower corporate tax rate.
Not necessarily.
Okay, so here's the one thing. We point to, and I appreciate you taking, what was your name again?
Yusuf.
Yusuf. I appreciate Yusuf taking the time.
There is a company, I don't remember the name of it, but a lot of companies, especially Fortune 500 companies, do this. They're supposed to pay a 12.3% tax, but that tax is taken out of the worker's pay, and it's marked down as, whatever it was. I read this about a week ago. I read a couple of articles, and the effective corporate tax is 2.2%. That percentage that they don't pay goes to the workers. So they get taxed from their own job. They get taxed from their pay. They get taxed when they buy something. They get taxed when they're getting taxes for their house. Taxes and fees. That's capitalism. And you guys constantly are like, oh, we need lower taxes. We need lower taxes. Lowering taxes for CEOs is not good for the working class at all. If anything, they should be higher. A lot fucking higher. You really want to have money for wars and shit? Tax the rich. You want money to prop up banks and shit? Tax the rich. You want money to prop up car manufacturers and all kinds of other corporations and red hat farmers? Tax the rich. Stop taking it from people who actually need it more. Should be a higher taxes. It should be higher taxes on a lot. And those taxes should be paid by the people who are generally dysfunctional when it comes to actually working themselves, i.e. the CEOs of companies. I'll get called a leftist commie for that. It's not communism, stupid.
Ethan, thanks, man, for making the time.
You're very welcome, and I just want to say, I know you called me, you said that I would be a layup.
I think I used something like that.
And I think you're right, because I don't think I'm a very good debater. I think you know that. So I didn't want to make it too easy for you.
Oh, okay.
So I've prepared.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So
Dan,
what we were going to talk about is the initial quote that happened. I think he's looking off there. The initial quote that kind of was turned into a little bit of a meme, which wasn't intentional, and was you saying you don't even have to think about it regarding the CDC. And I disagree with that. I think people should think about it. I believe, and we talked about this through playful ribbing, in an aggregation of medical authorities and scientific voices to make an informed and rational decision. So where do you think that I'm wrong on that?
I believe if you don't have any kind of medical background and you weren't trying to go for a medical degree in any form or fashion, you should not be saying anything about medical terms or even stuff about how the medical system works. If you've never been in it, don't talk about it.
Stephen, do you know that the Spartans...
And I can already see the comments about people talking about, you're not a congressman, so you shouldn't be talking about politics. Eat me.
They are like...
I'm not in the medical field, so I don't fucking talk about children.
It.
Oh, geez. Okay, so this is what's going to happen. What did I tell you? He was going to do anything he could to avoid... Oh, there he is. Oh, no, Sam Ceder. What a fucking nightmare. I had no idea this was going to happen. I thought Ethan was a stand-up guy. This is where we are. Yeah, I told Dave, remember I told you? I said, I guarantee you he's going to do anything he can to avoid the debate.
Well, I just think he believes that he should debate you.
No, he doesn't. He just takes advantage of women with, mental health issues.
Steven,
Ethan Klein doesn't stand up and do his own
I
fighting.
gotta say,
Stephen Crowder is very afraid of Sam Ceder. Because Sam Ceder always
do anything to avoid talking to me. I think the point that you made
at the beginning of
Joe Rogan and Dave Rubin and Jordan Peterson and Noam Chomsky and Sam Harris. Everyone's been avoiding.
Not just attempting to get your audience by jumping in.
Well, I debated with Charlie Kirk. Stephen, I mean, it's about issues. Let's talk about those issues.
That's what you're doing here.
Valid points.
You're so clever. I had no idea that you were taking your show off early last time, coming in today with your pig pen peanuts on.
I wish every.
We must have been very worried about this, Stephen. I don't know why.
No one's worried about it. I didn't want to do it.
Let's have a debate.
Come on, I'll tell you what. I have a general.
This is a great opportunity.
I don't start a debate based with people on a lie. And how about you get
sabotaging?
How about you get
Stephen, show yourself, you coward. Stephen, show yourself. Don't show your co-host.
Ethan, you should show yourself.
Ethan, how can you respect yourself as a man, brother?
Stephen, you are such a coward. Stop showing your little leprechaun co-host who comes out dressed like your sidekick.
Ethan, come on, man. Look, the same reason that I haven't ever had a conversation with Sam Ceder is the same reason that Joe Rogan, Sam Harris, Brett Weinstein, Dave Rubin, Ben Shapiro don't own anything. It's based on a lie, Ethan. Just like you claiming my you claiming my booker reached out to you, Ethan, when you know that's not true. There's no one.
See how he gets defensive as soon as he saw Sam Ceder? Because Sam Ceder will eat him alive. So does everybody he just fucking mentioned. They're all scared of Sam Ceder. It's not that they're avoiding him. They just don't want to face him because they know they'd get destroyed in a debate.
Why
Sam?
are you so afraid?
Sam,
I think you're a smart guy.
I can call out Mike
I don't
Tyson.
understand why
it doesn't mean that I'm
you are
ducking
so worried about this.
Why do you feel that anyone, Sam? Why do you feel that anyone owes you airtime when you have a 40th of the audience? You've been doing the show.
I don't think anybody owes me airtime. I think that Ethan has just given it to me. I didn't ask him for it, and so
no, you've been begging for it for a long time with everyone bigger than yourself.
Why are you so worried about engaging with
audience? And so what happens is he uploads 15 times more, has less than a 50th of the audience.
Well, that's why he wants to debate you, is so he can build his.
Sam, come on,
your audience cares that I only have 1 million subscribers and you have what, 6 or 7 million subscribers?
Let me answer. Can I answer your question? Can I answer your question? Can I answer your question?
Sure.
You want me to answer your question? My audience would say Sam who? Just like Joe Rogan's audience and Ben
Well, now
Shapiro's
they
and
all
Dave
know
Rubin.
who I am.
Now they
You
all know
just
who you
introduced
are
me.
because you had to
Your
shoehorn
audience
yourself into
watches
another coward show.
College
another
students,
show.
every day that you do that,
Why are
change
we?
my
Hold on a
mind,
second. Hold on
they
a second.
don't know who those college
This is another
students
lie.
are.
This is another lie.
What possible
Let
difference
me
would it be?
clarify, Sam. Let me clarify, Sam. The change my mind. Everyone knows on the show, right?
Yes.
We've had
How did
professors
you know
on the.
I ended
This is
my
what-
show
okay, he's not
early
gonna
last
talk.
week, Stephen? If your audience
Because
doesn't
you're
even
an
know me,
idiot.
how did
Half
you
of
know
your
that?
staff
Do
doesn't
you
like
watch my
you.
show?
Because I'm a diehard fan.
Yes, it's because he's a diehard
Well,
fan.
if
Yeah,
you're a
I've had heard
diehard
of you,
fan,
but I just
why-
met you.
why not
Congratulations,
have me
Sam Cedar's fan.
and Stephen
I'm just
have
a
a
huge
conversation.
fan.
I will
like-
talk
right now,
about
every
the
time I
issues
try and
that
talk,
you
you're
want to talk
interrupting,
about,
Sam.
Stephen.
and
Right now, I'm trying to talk with you. You're interrupting, Sam.
bombarded the show.
Okay,
You
go ahead.
bombarded my show under a false pretense. You claim that
Bombarded?
When does Steven Crowder never not interrupt somebody? Why do I have an echo? That's better. I don't understand why he wants to bring up interrupting people when that's his favorite, most famous thing he does. He constantly interrupts people.
like you claim that I ducked the debate with you under a false pretense. Have I ever?
That is what the Politicon people told me.
Oh,
I
is
played
that what they
the
told you?
audio
Well,
of
so
it.
you're just lazy
Yeah.
with your research?
And if
No,
big tech
what
is
You
research
continue
do
with the
I need?
lie.
They
You
said
need to
you were
research and say,
booked.
did Stephen ever accept?
They said you were
Let me
booked.
explain to you. Let me explain
They
to you.
said
Let me
you were
explain to you.
booked.
Hey,
See, he doesn't want to let him
Sam,
talk.
And you literally
Sam,
had cold
sweetheart.
feet.
Sam, fake stand-up comic who we can't find any footage about online. Let
I'm
me
not a
finish.
stand-up comic.
Oh, you're not? Okay, that makes sense because everything that I've seen is incredibly unfunny and unentertaining,
Well,
which may
I'm
explain
not
the
a
audience.
stand-up
Ironic,
comic.
irony alert, Stephen.
How
Comedian.
much have you watched of my
Comedian.
stuff,
The
Stephen, that
irony
you
of-
think
Sam,
that your
can I
audience
answer your
wouldn't
question?
appreciate
Sam.
our discussing things?
Samuel, can I answer your question?
Yes.
So you have gone on and you've done the same thing with other comments. Everyone has a bigger audience than you. Because you said, I want to speak with Steven Crowder. You believe that at some point there was some acceptance? When have I ever done a Politicon? Ever? When have
don't
as a
know.
matter of fact,
I
in the
haven't
last
followed your
decade,
career like
in
you
the
seem to
last
have followed
decade,
mine, Stephen.
in the last decade, I haven't done a single political conference.
How
I
can
hosted
you say-
CPAC for 4 years and stopped because they suck.
How
They
can you
don't
say-
pay
Okay.
and they're full of losers.
What about
And you've been
Just
Gavin
the
clamoring
McGrath?
for it,
superlatives
and
and
it's a
attacks.
told me
lie.
that you dropped out of doing
How
his
can you
show
say
because
that
This is
I was
just
going
hearsay
to
and
do it.
gossip.
But how can
I
you
have
say
I've never met more of a
your
woman.
career when he wants
Well,
to
I
keep
don't even need to-
debating?
I don't
Oh,
need to
now
talk
see,
about
he-
any of this.
All right,
Let's talk
okay.
about the issue.
So
You see,
Ethan,
And now he's attacking his manhood, or whatever lack thereof he thinks it is.
do you want to have a conversation, Ethan?
Let's talk
about the
about big
vaccine
tech.
because
Ethan, do you want to have a
Absolutely, I
conversation?
do.
You're going to hide.
you felt so
Absolutely, I do.
strongly
Or
about
big tech.
So what?
Sam Cedar is more of a man than Steven Crowder. Because if Crowder was any man that he claims to be, I don't think his wife would have left him.
Are you hiding behind Cedar?
Oh no, no,
Have
no.
a
Me and Sam are
conversation
aligned. I'm not
with
hiding.
him.
He just
Well, you're just a
he knows the
liar.
issue.
So you're a liar.
Because remember we said,
Brought
hold on a
in
second,
somebody
hold on a
else's
second.
debate.
I mean, it sort of feels like
It's
you guys are the ones
ridiculous.
who are hiding.
Really?
Ethan
Hide?
is being
No, this is
completely
actually...
open about it.
Who's
Stuck in on you.
Who's the guy who
Ethan's
never
being
appears
completely
on
open
stage,
about it.
never does a live show,
But it's a
never
comment.
even sheds, never even allows a shadow of comedy to be perceived on his program? It's just hiding.
Right.
Everything we do is out in the open. H3.
Stephen, you're wearing a
Yeah, we
holster.
agreed.
So what?
Hold on a second, yeah? So? I want to normalize responsible gun ownership. Is that your debate? No wonder you had to bring in a hack for you.
wanna
Well,
call
no,
it
you're talking
copyright
about
out loud.
comedy.
Well,
I mean,
strategy.
that's
Right
not very
for you.
You
funny.
have a holster, bro.
Also, your
You have a
sponsor
holster.
farted.
He takes advantage of mentally ill women for a
main
show.
sponsor is about gay
All right, okay.
All of it.
All right, Sam, you got it. You got it. I hope you have. I hope you have a
Hey,
wonderful
Steven,
highlight reel.
Hold on. Let me just make one point.
Hope you enjoy Politicon.
Hold on,
Ethan.
let
We'll
me make
release
one
the private
point, Steven.
messages. All right,
Don't
thank you,
bail.
guys. I appreciate it.
Don't bail, you coward.
Hey, Sam, one thing before I go.
It's
Can you
about
take off your
issues,
glasses?
Stephen.
Hold
One
on.
thing before I go.
I
Can you
just
take off your glasses?
We just want to see if
I just want to see if you take them off, if you have the Velveteen Rabbit buttons. That's the only thing I'm curious about. It's the only interesting part about it.
Steven,
Or if there's a soul.
Let's
Just take off the glasses.
Let's debate.
Don't hide behind the
Don't be a coward.
Let's debate, Ethan. You've lost
Coward.
All right.
Debate the issues. What does it matter who you debate, coward?
All right, good. You guys are good. Thank you.
Coward.
Won't even take off the
I
glasses.
was right.
All right, yeah. You can
run away.
You run away twice. Cold feet again.
Come on, Steven.
Wow. Wow. Dude, I can't believe he admit to following.
He admitted that he followed the show last week.
The fact that he admits to following Sam Ceder is fucking hilarious to me. 1 second. Yeah, hi, back. Steven Crowder is a coward.
We got him.
Admitted that he watched the show last week.
We got him.
Early.
Dude, we played him so hard because he literally was following. He saw that you went live, dude. We fucking got him.
Oh my God, we fucking nailed him.
And that's
we
what a lot
already
of people
proved you're
pointed.
full of shit about Colorado and traffic deaths. Should we go and fuck you up with this too?
Yeah. When you have your guy looking
You
up
feel
sources.
bad about the Colorado thing at all?
What? I never said Colorado. I said states that legalize.
What other
marijuana.
ones are there?
Well, you didn't bring up the source that I wrote about.
All right, well, I can.
But the
look
fact
up
that you're
if
still
you
hung
want.
up on
Hold
it.
please, hold please. What?
I got the article. I've been looking at it for like the last few minutes on your website.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a couple statements that are really bad just off the gate, like this right here. If you want to get high, you're a moron. And-
Well,
And
this is-
getting
this is-
high will
this is
make
the
you
joke.
more of a
that's
moron.
Not, that's not a
But
news
hold on.
article.
Right. Hold on, please.
That's commentary.
But, hold on, but fine. After all, things like Coachella wouldn't exist. Is this your article?
Yeah.
I think it's an article on my site.
Oh, wait a
I
minute.
think
If you want to get high,
Courtney-
you're a moron?
Yeah, I think
You really,
Courtney
you really
believes
think
that,
you're
yeah.
a moron?
I think
If you
Courtney
get
believes
high?
that. Yeah.
Who's Courtney?
She's
She works
probably
for
one
you?
of the best writers I think I've ever encountered.
How dare you not read then?
But so then the article links to a couple, like this, for instance, is one that says it has deadliest year of traffic fatalities since 2008.
Yeah.
This article doesn't say anything about marijuana, not one thing. Doesn't mention weed at once. It does say that it could be attributed to
Could be
lower
weather.
gas prices, people driving more,
It
more
does.
people in the state,
Sure.
et cetera,
Yeah.
et cetera.
Well,
But
more
that's not,
people
first
in the
off, that's not the
state
only thing. Hold on.
is a
No,
huge
this is
issue.
important. I'm going to defend myself here because you have someone here at the ready, and what you do is instead of bringing up information, this is what happens with Christopher Tite.
Christopher Titus has more info on things than you do, buddy. He gets called out, and now he's like, let me defend myself. If your entire thing that you posted had nothing of ill intent, maybe that's not the phrase. If it didn't have anything that could be picked apart, I don't think it would be. And it's only agreeable to people who follow this guy.
Right? You don't have information that you bring up. You have another guy look up a source that you specifically want him to find.
I didn't ask him to bring that up.
Yes,
He just
you did.
brought it
And he
up.
brought up Washington Post and goes, "This is what's wrong with your article." Taking a
No, he
joke
had,
out
he
of
had already been
context.
talking. You didn't have a joke.
The joke in there about things like Coachella wouldn't exist if there weren't. That's
Okay,
clearly a
her in
joke.
that article.
That's a joke.
Right, but
to try and go, do you think people who smoke pot are morons? No, it's a joke.
Okay.
Let's not do that.
Okay.
Let's not do that.
Well, and no, pot's not comparable to alcohol. There are tests that determine how much alcohol
Right.
content is in your bloodstream. We can't yet do that with weed, so it's impossible to handle these incidents in the same way.
That's
but
pretty
there
fair.
but there have been tests where they showed people
But that
drunk.
would go back to what he said and what
But
you
there
said.
have been tests where they've shown people drunk versus on marijuana, and the people on marijuana drove far better.
Okay.
That's true.
So this is also
Right?
anecdotal.
No,
but
these are
it
tests.
goes
No,
back
it's
to your
not.
point, right?
But
Let's
these
say
are tests.
let's say
A
someone
test
has
is not
alcohol.
Are
in
these
their system.
tests?
Well, I haven't read your test.
Okay, so
But
why are
I'm-
you arguing against them?
No, I'm saying I agreed with your point earlier.
So why are you saying they're
No,
anecdotal?
let me put the, well, it is anecdotal if you're saying some people drive better on marijuana
No,
than
I'm not
alcohol.
saying that. I've said there have been tests where they've shown that people drive
So-
better on marijuana
Anyway.
than alcohol. That's
If you
not
want, if you want-
anecdotal.
my point is, if you
No,
want to
you're
smoke weed,
looking.
go
You're
ahead.
looking to be really good at this argument here.
No, I'm
You
not.
need to settle down.
You said you wouldn't pile on, and you got two people.
I'm not
Rule-
piling
yeah,
down. He's
yeah,
not
it is.
talking.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
He's
it
not
is.
talking. He
Actually,
brought
I have a
something
rule
up.
when
He
someone
brought
comes on
up
the show. When
facts.
someone comes on the show, Jared cannot interject.
Congratulations, you're not
Cannot
on the show.
interject.
And all he did was pull up some fucking
two
information.
people bringing up information, me without a laptop.
No, he brought it up. I talked about it. He didn't even talk about it.
You said, what would be the one thing that you've changed your mind on?
Is there a problem with two people are correct and you're incorrect? Does that bother you?
I don't agree that you're correct.
What are you talking about? You just pulled up some statistics that show that Colorado has less traffic fatalities.
No, I didn't.
Since
I didn't pull up any
2000.
statistics.
No, he did. You
saw
saw
them.
them.
You just said
well,
you.
I will
So
give
no,
you
that's
my
not
laptop.
correct.
I'll turn my laptop
That's
your
not
way,
correct.
and you can pull up some shit that shows contrary
You said, what is
evidence.
the issue that you would care about the least, that you've changed your mind on? I said, probably wouldn't even talk about pot.
That's a long version of what you said.
And
what
then
you
you said, well, why?
was there have been more fatalities since marijuana has been legal in those
In
states.
all the things we've discussed.
That's not true.
Why are you so obsessed with the pot issue?
Because you're not right, and it doesn't matter if we've talked about it for 4
So
hours. In this instance, you are incorrect. You know you're incorrect.
No, I'm not incorrect in that instance. That traffic fatalities have increased in areas where pot have increased. We did the same study in Michigan where pot was legalized and people were actually selling more marijuana to underage kids.
This is a classic case of not knowing that causation is not correlation. Correlation is not causation. I can correlate there's more people dying from going to a buffet. Those two are not mutually exclusive. I could also say when white people move into a black neighborhood, there's more violence. Does that make it true? Nope.
I don't care
Okay,
if they
that
do
doesn't
it.
have anything to do with traffic fatalities.
It does have to do with it.
It doesn't have anything to do with traffic fatalities unless you can prove there's more traffic fatalities in underage kids since marijuana has been legal.
Yeah, there have been several articles that have made that claim, made that assertion.
Let's find
We've
them.
written about it.
Let's find them.
They all come from one article mostly, and it's from these AAA stats. And this is the stats they said. And it's almost all the articles you're talking about come from this one article.
Okay.
Okay, so it says the percentage of drivers involved in fatal crashes who recently used marijuana more than doubled from 8 to 17% from 2013 to 2014.
Yeah.
1 in 6 drivers involved in fatal crashes from 2014 had recently used marijuana, which is the most recent data available. Now, do you understand that causation does not equal
involving marijuana
correlation?
is alarming.
Yeah, it says who?
That's an opinion.
It's an opinion.
President and CEO of AAA Foundation.
Yeah,
for
he says
Traffic
it's
Safety.
alarming. Well, is that a matter of more people smoking marijuana because it's legal, or is it a matter of the marijuana causing these accidents?
Is this
Do you know
not an
what
article
else?
put out by
Do you know what
AAA?
else is true? Do you know what else is true? That all these people also had alcohol in their system. Do you know that?
Well, no, I don't. We don't know that all of
It's
them had alcohol in
a
their system.
giant percentage
Well,
of people
hold
that
on a
were
second. You
involved
just
in
made
these
an assumption
accidents.
because you know this
No,
to
I
be
know
true.
this because I've read
all
these
of them
studies.
had alcohol in their system.
I didn't
Can you
say
prove
that.
You
I
just
said
all.
a lot of them.
Rewind the tape. You
Maybe
said
I
all.
did say all. A lot of them.
Well, you made a lot of
Shitload.
assumptions.
Let's
here.
find out.
It doesn't say anything in the article about alcohol, though, and for sure they should have tested
You can see it in Steven Crowder's eyes that he is fucking pissed that he got called out again.
that and put that
They should,
information
and
in
for
there.
sure they can't test.
Well,
for, by the way,
just
I'm talking
Google
with two guys
how
who
many
just
people-
smoked up a joint.
Just Google.
and
what?
are mad
What does that have to do with anything?
It makes a point that you're going to have an obvious position that would disagree with this one single article. So if I can finish a point, you've talked about interruption. Let me finish the one point that I'm making.
Well, you've
you
already
can't
been
test
proven.
for marijuana.
You've already been
You can't
proven.
test for marijuana roadside, right? Can we agree on
No,
that?
you absolutely can.
You
yeah,
can?
there's new tests. Yeah,
Okay, there's new tests.
that are
How
available
recent are
right
these
now.
tests?
Let's find
2014?
out. Let's
Yeah.
find out. Before you do
But
that,
they
though,
didn't test, like you said.
How many of the marijuana-related fatalities also involved alcohol? Because it's a massively significant percentage.
Yeah.
So you can't necessarily say that just because they have these new tests for marijuana, especially roadside
That's
marijuana.
the problem. Is you can't. Okay, I'll tell you what. I'll give you that.
What are you giving me?
Let's say you're correct.
But here's the thing:
So
it
let's say you're
doesn't
correct.
physiologically, it doesn't have an effect on motor skills the way alcohol does, where it doesn't slow down your response time.
Well, I know
It's
that
not the same.
we've had several doctors on the show, 2 of whom had differing opinions on that.
They don't have to be right.
Just because you had a doctor or 2 doctors on the show and they each contradict one another still shows there's no proof there. Just because you have 2 people on your show and they're disagreeing with one another, which one's right? Probably the one you agree with. That's called bias. Just because you have bias doesn't make it fact.
They don't have to be right.
opinions of it. Do they
have
smoke
opinions.
marijuana themselves? Do they know what it's like?
now,
Have
we're
they
getting, now we're
studied?
getting to this
Have
whole
they
if you haven't
studied
smoked
all
marijuana.
the different? CBS News caught blatantly distorting cannabis studies says
This
legal
comes
pot
from-
doubles fatal
This
car
comes
crashes.
from Minute Press News.
So again, we can go into questioning sources all day long if you have someone else bringing up
You don't
sources.
think this is a good source? You think
Maybe
they're
it
lying?
is. Maybe it is. Let's say
Not a
you're
lot of
right.
Crowder, but
Let's say you're right. Well, a lot of Crowder, we sourced that to something else.
I know. And
You guys
I
are
looked up
so
your
defensive
sources.
on one issue, and you said,
Hold
what's
on.
the issue you don't care
I
about?
have your sources right here. I've looked them up. There's people online also sourcing them. They are skewed. You're skewing them to make
And so
your
is the
case.
Washington Post study that you skewed.
But you're not the Washington Post. You're supposed to be the answer to the Washington Post.
I'm not the answer to the
You're
Washington
not,
Post.
Don't
We're
say that
op-ed.
someone's evil, so I'm evil too.
Well, you just said that.
Is that what you're saying?
That's the
Someone's
argument that you
evil,
just
so I'm
made.
No, I didn't make
You
that
didn't make
argument.
that
You just
argument.
said.
Oh my God, yeah. Which is exactly what MAGA basically states every time they open their mouth about something good about Trump. They're just as narcissistic, misogynistic, racist, and stupid as Trump is. Why else did they vote for him? It wasn't because of the fucking single issue votes that they wanted. Like, you know, stuff about immigration, shit like that. And they're all about protect the kids, but it's them touching and diddling. Don't know what else to say on that one. It's just the hypocrisy is astounding.
Come on,
You
man.
just made that argument, and all of a sudden, when someone mentions pot, you
When-
put on
when
the
you're
ideologue
saying
hat
this-
where your worldview
What
is
is
through
that?
the lens of weed.
No, dude.
And you get upset
I'm
with anyone
calling
having
you
a
out
different
on
opinion.
bullshit. It has nothing to do with weed.
Yeah, but you haven't
I would
made an
call
argument.
I haven't made an argument. You said
You've
that
said
the
your studies are
fatalities
sourced.
increased. We showed you what
We
happened
wrote
in
about it. The
Colorado.
what have you shown me?
We showed you the statistics that
Okay.
show that marijuana and traffic violations they
May
correlates
not
to
be
less
causal,
accidents.
right? Your
May
argument
not
is
be
it may
caused.
not be caused.
Okay, so what else is?
God, Stephen loves to talk over people. Good God. It's actually infuriating because if it was the other way around, you guys bitch and bluster, oh, you won't let me talk, because you're not letting me talk. It's on my platform. What right do you have to talk over me? I'm going to talk over you if you do it to me. You don't want to be called out for being a hypocrite, don't be a fucking hypocrite.
Causing the drop number, and why can't
what's
you
causing the
show
increase in number?
What increase? This fake increase
From
that
fake,
you're bringing up?
fake news?
It's
Is
not
that what we're doing?
real. It's not real. Colorado shows it's not real. So where is it real?
Well, this comes from his AAA study that was AAA and Trusted Safety Council.
AAA is owned by the Bilderberg Group,
Oh,
bro.
God.
You don't even know this.
So now we're going to go to Weed Cures Cancer and people having meetings with Rams heads.
You've got one article that says one thing and one
Joe.
article from Colorado that says there's been a decrease in traffic fatalities.
Right.
You're not willing to recognize that.
I just said, let's give that to you. Because this entire conversation started with you saying, what issue would you change your mind on?
No,
and I said,
it started.
probably pot. Because here's
no,
what I
this
think.
argument started with you saying that it causes more fatalities and traffic violations.
That's not true. That's not true. You said, which issue do you not care about?
Didn't
I
I
said
say that?
pot.
Didn't
And then
you
you
say
said
it
why?
causes more
You said
traffic
why?
fatalities?
What's your opinion on pot? And I said, I really don't care if people want to smoke pot. I think it's a state issue. I honestly don't care. I've changed my mind where as a kid.
Yeah, you changed your mind while getting called out for what you said about people smoking pot being morons. You held that view until he confronted you about it.
I thought it was harmful. I don't think it's harmful
But
anymore.
didn't you say that it causes
and then you
more
said,
traffic fatalities?
Then you said,
no, that's
but
not.
I will ask this.
I'm trying to say, what are the
I'll ask
consequences
this.
of it?
You come on my show. I would love to and have a discussion about it in real time. I think
Why
so.
would
Well,
I
last
do?
time on the
You're
show,
in
you said
front
you
of
do
me
the show.
right now. You're in front of me right now. Why do I have
Because
to
we're
come
not
on
having a
your...
conversation, you and I, right now.
We would definitely
You're
have
having
a
somebody else
conversation
bring
for
up sources.
hours. Oh, that's not good to read
It's not
sources?
fair.
Tell me, are you vaccinated?
It's not
Yes.
fair.
Okay. What made you get vaccinated?
To be able to do things, you know, and protect other people from the COVID vaccine, or the COVID, COVID, yeah, from
You're not
COVID.
running up swatting vaccines.
Yeah, no, to be able to protect, number one, my family, protect others, and be able to go out in the public and make sure that I wasn't causing more problems.
Wait, something is different here. Are you Canadian?
Yeah.
Bingo. I just heard it. Go out.
Yeah.
How long have you been here? Are you visiting?
No, I've been in the U.S. 20 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, this is kind of interesting to me because I don't know if you've probably heard that some people are vaccine hesitant, and it's higher in the Black American community. And we've interviewed some people today, and they said, "Well, I'm a little leery of the government." You're the first one who just said, "Yep, I took it." Canadian. Do you think there's a little bit more Canadians willing to go along with what the government wants them to do?
Well, I think it's more so around their health care. You know, in terms of in Canada, there has a strong trust in healthcare,
Right.
because the government runs healthcare.
Right.
And so in Canada right now, the vaccination rate is at 85%.
Yeah.
Because of that trust. And I think in the U.S., a lot of people don't have trust in the healthcare because a lot of people don't even have it.
Right.
You know, so I think that's a big factor in why people haven't taken
Do you
it.
think it's a good, because in Canada they've taken extreme measures. I mean, curfews, arresting people who even just walk their dog outside of their house, eliminating people from platforms. Do you think, because Canada's been pretty extreme, next step Australia, do you think that in that case there's a risk reward of 85% vaccination, but losing some individual rights there? I'm Canadian, by the way, I should say, Montreal.
Oh, great. I'm from Vancouver.
Oh, okay. Never been there. So when people say you're Canadian, they go, do you know? I go, it's a huge, huge country.
Right, right. No, I don't think so. Because at the end of the day, when you look at death rates in comparison to the U.S. and Canada, you see that, yes, you may lose some personal rights, but you have a greater chance of...
A lot of people want to complain about people coming over here pregnant and having kids here. Crowder just admitted he's Canadian and he came here and became a U.S. citizen. Which is what I think it was 80 to 90% of immigrants do that. They come here legally. More innocent people under the Trump administration via ICE have been deported than any mistake Biden or Obama made during their deportations. Biden got rid of more bad people than Trump ever did. And every single one of them, not every single one of them were bad people. They just weren't here through legal means. Like their visa gave up. And they just never went and either redid it or either they didn't go redo it or they meant to not go redo it and just see how long it takes. Once you get deported, your time resets for the legal system. You have to do it all over again after a year or some shit. I forget the 3-strike rule for it, but I think at like 3 strikes, you're not eligible ever to be in the States. I should know this because of, personal reasons. With somebody one of my family members was with, and that's as far as I'm going with that. Oh, they let millions of immigrants over in the Biden administration. No, that happened over a 10+ year gap or span, if you want to call it that. And it didn't happen in all in one go during his term. Yes, people came over the border during Biden's term, but it wasn't 15 million people, whatever number it was. It changed, I don't know how many times. First it was like 6 million, then it was 10 million, then it was 15 million, some shit like that. But, a liar's gotta lie, Trump.
Because more people are vaccinated, there's less death. So yeah, I think it's the risk is worth that reward.
Okay. Let me ask you this: do you? Well, I don't want to ask your kids right now because I don't want to put them on camera. I'll just ask you. But do your kids go to public schools or to private schools?
Neither.
Oh, neither. Are homeschooled?
Yes.
Oh, great. Well, you can't do that in Canada either. That's it. So isn't that a good thing? You have that liberty here in the United States.
Well, you can do that in Canada.
It's very, very difficult.
Yeah. You just have to follow the regulations.
Yeah, it's almost impossible. The actual amount of approval, specifically in Quebec, was way worse. But that's good. Good for you. I just had twins. They're just like 12 weeks old, and we're considering that right now for sure. So I was going to ask you then. It doesn't really affect you so much, but what do you think about like the mask mandates in classrooms right now?
Well, I think it's definitely a great health protocol.
Okay.
In the sense.
just to be fair here, I agree that you should homeschool your kids.
That, kids were already being vaccinated to go to classes.
Right.
So to me, until they have a vaccine for children, that is the best way to keep them healthy.
Okay. So you would support the mandates for the masks in schools?
Definitely.
On that same line of thinking, should we have mask mandates for children every flu season? Do you think? Because some people are saying that's something we should be looking at too.
I don't think so, because the death rates are not as high, in terms of the science isn't telling us that yet. So I wouldn't think so.
So my question is we have a sliding scale, right? This is interviewing a lot of people. What if, let's say, the standard flu, what if the CDC had numbers that said the standard seasonal flu, the mortality rate is 10 times higher in children than COVID? Would we say, okay, then maybe no mask mandate or mask mandate for the flu as well?
That would have to be something we find out through scientific methods that we use to find things out. You can't just have that as a hypothetical. That's a false equivalency. And when you use false equivalencies in your arguments, you're really just going from your basest bias. And that shows a lot to Steven Crowder's character. And I'll go back to it again because he's a misogynistic abuser, fucking alcoholic. Which is why his wife left him.
I think if the science tells us to go there, we need to go there.
Okay, because it does. Yeah, it's 0.08 mortality rate for kids with COVID, but a lot of people don't realize the standard flu is very dangerous for kids. Kids more so, not as dangerous for adults.
For kids 5 and under, it's bad, but 6 and up, it's a little bit easier to deal with because of the way biology allows that kid to start being good immune system wise, and it starts going up from there. Yeah, if they catch it and it's a bad one, it can really mess up a kid. It can really mess up an old person too. So it's not just kids. Old people die more from the flu and then catching pneumonia because of it, and they end up, dying. That's what happened to Leslie Nielsen. He got the flu, it turned into pneumonia, and it took him. That's what took Bernie Mac and a bunch of other celebrities. And there's 2 things here. CK was talking about, we need gun violence, and then what happened. And then the old guy, I can't remember his name off top. I have a picture. He was denying COVID was bad, and then he died of COVID. That's proven. You can go look that up. I'll find the name and I'll post it in the description of the video. But yeah, let's finish this off.
More dangerous for children,
right.
And it's 0.85%, almost 1%.
Yeah.
Do you think we need to mask up in normal flu seasons?
Well, the thing is, we have such a small...
Immunocompromised people would have to. Because if they get something, they could die.
Data set for COVID, it's only been with us within a year. We have 20, 30 years of flu data that would tell us that, So I think
COVID's been around for thousands of years, some if not millions, from what data shows. COVID has variants, and then those variants have variants, so on and so forth. It's called mutation, which is a faster level of evolution. They're evolving. They just evolve at such a rate because their viability is what causes them to mutate. They figure out something and then they rewrite their own DNA to further survive, to find a host outside of a body. Because the flu lasts, 72 hours outside of a human host? And you can just touch something and end up touching your face, and now you got the flu. This is... The people that deny vaccines... Holy shit, I don't even know what to say. The guy that started that whole thing actually came out later on and said, yeah, I just did it because I wanted revenge for the people that were laughing at me, in so many words. Obviously not verbatim. You can go look that up too. You'll go and look up his research and then agree with it, but not agree with him coming out. You'll say it was some kind of ploy to discredit what he said. He discredited it himself.
So the narrative is that he was running his car right towards him, right? That's Juan Sebastian Guerrero right there. Coming around, there's the agent going pretty slow, and there is the point at which you can tell that he was shot. Take a second look, and I'll slow it down. From here, you can see the car continually driving in circles, over and over, as they try to get it stopped, because Juan Sebastian Guerrero had no control at that point. And then you'll see the SUV that they talk about T-boning him much later. Here it comes. That's 3 turns around. Oh. And here comes the SUV. That's 4 times around. There it is. Do you really think that Juan Sebastian Guerrero had control of the car at that time? No. They hit him in order to stop the car, because he was no longer there. And now you can see them dragging him out of the car, at which, because of the other angle, we already know what shape he was in at that point. At any point in that clip, did you see any officer in danger? Did you see the car speeding? I didn't think so.
In fact, I think she said it was sexy, didn't she? It was very sexy to be. Didn't she say that?
So, sir, I just want to confirm, it's your testimony that E. Jean Carroll said that she loved being sexually assaulted by you?
Well, based on her interview with Anderson Cooper, I believe that's what took place.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
Man, liberals are so emotional.
Trump sucks.
What? What? How dare you? You don't know anything. He's the best president ever. You're just brainwashed. The economy, the wall, the